Alright, what's up, y'all? Taker Fan here. As I'm about to tell today's video, here to rank all the defensive badges in NBA 2K23 for Season 3. So, as you can see, if you're new to the channel, new to the series, in the bottom left corner, we have text colors going to indicate Season 2 ranking. So, for instance, Ankle Braces and Menace in Season 2, I had rated in the D tier, and so on and so forth for everything else that matches text color to the tier list color as well. So, I hope y'all enjoy the video. If you do, drop a like, sub if you're new, turn on noties, all that good stuff, and like always, try to swim to 2,000 likes. Without further ado, we're getting straight into this. We're going to go from bottom to top, rank everything from Menace all the way up to Glove, and reposition them for Season 3. So, first off, like I said, we have Menace. This is going to be moving up from the D tier to the C tier. This is going to be something that I find to be a pretty decent on-ball defender badge. Obviously, as far as like off-ball defense or even just in general, anything besides guarding ball, it doesn't really matter. I mean, obviously, but Menace is obviously going to be a pure lockdown type of badge. I think anything besides that, you obviously don't have the badge points worth running. If you play on-ball defense in Pro-Am, I would say it's maybe reasonable to run. It's going to drop their ratings for every level that you have of Menace down by 1, and it goes a decent way. I'll say that much. Like, as far as like what you can do to stop people or what it really does for you, it's just about dropping ball handle. So for instance, if you are a pure lockdown, and let's say maybe you're going against someone that has 95 ball handle for the Hall of Fame Unpluckable, or maybe even 96 because they will go for that Hall of Fame Clamp Breaker. Regardless, you could be dropping it by around 4 ratings or something like that between running the Hall of Fame level of it, and that does go a decent way, especially if you have 99 steal and they have 95 ball handle. Anything you can drop between getting their 95 down to 91, it definitely goes a long way. Not to mention, keep in mind, a lot of people that play on Pro-Am or even maybe Rec Center come in with people that generally have things like floor general on the court, at least somewhere at probably a silver or gold level. So if they do have around 95 ball handle, it's possible that it's even being boosted all the way up to 99 or most likely 98. So in most situations, I would say if you are an on-ball defender and you have the badge points for it, Menace can be a decent badge to run, but C tier is right where it belongs in my opinion. Moving up as well, we have Ankle Braces. I will say this badge is literally just relying upon what the offensive player on the other end is doing. So for instance, if they aren't running Ankle Breaker, if they aren't running killer combos, it's going to be of no value to you to even have Ankle Braces. What would be fire for this, and I wish 2K would implement this a little bit too, is if Ankle Braces actually resisted Clamp Breakers. Now maybe 2K Labs or 2K Toots could test that. That'd be awesome if they did that. But to my knowledge, I don't think that is the case by any means. I think Ankle Braces is just the killer combos and then the Ankle Breaker counter. But again, if people don't run that, it's literally an F tier, because what do you even need this badge for at that point? There's no such thing as like crazy stuns or crazy ankle breakers if they aren't even running the badges. So clearly it's just a counter badge. So as far as you actually investing your badge points into it, it will be wasted badge points sometimes. I would actually say very likely, for that matter, by the way, and that's why I have it ranked so low. It is very good at resisting what it's supposed to resist. I have seen that, and I have seen like even the talks of maybe lockdowns that play competitive Pro-Am, when they play Eyeball Greens, shout out to Greens, he's probably the best guard in the game. When they play him, and he is one of the only few people in this game that run killer combos, and he runs it on Hall of Fame for that matter too, because his playmaking is ridiculous. Like, his ball handle is super high. He runs Clamp Breaker on Hall of Fame and killer combos at like, I think gold, maybe Hall of Fame as well. Nonetheless, my whole point is they actually do throw Ankle Braces on generally when they are defending him, and it's because it's a lot of stuns, it's a lot of ISO sort of dribbling and stuff like that too, where they just send the big down and just ISO the one defender. Generally maybe work the two-man game, get like a shooting guard matched up on him instead of an actual lockdown. But nonetheless, my whole point is Ankle Braces is actually a pretty decent counter to running things like killer combos or Ankle Breaker. But like I said, very few people in the game actually run that stuff. So I have Ankle Braces in the C tier because I feel like it is wasted badge points for you to run it in a casual aspect, and especially even just the majority of people who play Pro-Am. I would say probably like 2% of the people in this game that actually play it run killer combos or Ankle Breaker. I'll just put it like that. So it's pretty wasted badge points unless you know you're matching up against someone that actually has something that you may need to resist. Nonetheless though, it is a tier 1 badge at all times, generally for almost every build I think, but regardless, that does mean it's pretty cheap as far as your expending of your badge points and stuff like that. But moving along, ironically, we have D tiers moving up to the C tier and C tiers moving down to the D tier. So these will be my 2 lowest rated badges on defense. We have Off-Ball Pest and Workhorse. Now, I'm not here to say that they're both completely useless. I just think their use and their actual like function and how good they are at stopping people from doing what you want to do with them is not that good, if I'm being completely honest. Off-Ball Pest, even at a super high level, I don't even feel like it's that tremendously different. It'd be something if, like, let's say someone corner cut and just guess past you, and you're maybe a corner defender, and you have Hall of Fame Off-Ball Pest, so you can just pass interference their stuff. it doesn't exactly work like that. For being completely honest, it doesn't throw people off their course for the passes very often. It's just gonna get you better grabs and bumps, which at the end of the day, what does that really mean? You still have to play the passing lane well. You're not really like breaking things up or like pass interference in them and just not getting not called for it. That's just my opinion on it. Off-ball pest is, in my opinion, a bit of a waste of a badge point, but if you're a specialist that is generally always playing corner defense, it's maybe understandable to run because once again, it's still a tier 1 badge. So be it. Moving along, we also have Workhorse. This once again is going to be very often a tier 1 badge. For some bigs, I believe it's tier 2 also, but either way, Workhorse, I just am not a big fan of. I'm gonna be real with you guys. I've played with this on a Hall of Fame level. Don't even really feel like it's that game changing, and even when I don't have it on, I don't even feel like it's that much of a difference between my loose ball gets, so to say. Now, I've played at Lockdown and Pro-Am, I've played Park a lot with this stuff, and I've tested it at many different levels between even just running Bronze or running Hall of Fame, and I was playing with Hall of Fame on as well, and I just feel like there's so many better points I could be using this for. Like, I was really debating it, and I'll give you my best example. When it came to that Joe wager that I was playing for Pro-Am, I was putting 4 points worth into Hall of Fame Workhorse as a tier 1, and all I had to do was pretty much just chase down 1 level lower, then boom, that was the difference between me running Brick Wall or not. And that goes a long way. I would much rather have Bronze Brick Wall as my style than to have Hall of Fame Workhorse. Now, again, let's say maybe you're someone who plays like a pure lock spot and you don't really need to have Brick Wall. You don't even need rebounding badges. You're a fight through lock, simple as that. Workhorse is reasonable to run. I'm not going to sit here and say it's going to give you like unbelievable, insane boost to your off-ball like getting, so to say. But I've seen so many times where I don't get the loose ball and I'm like, wow, well, there goes 4 badge points that I have, and it was so reasonable for me to even be in that situation and get it. But long story short, I just don't see the value of Workhorse like shining through enough when I run the badge. Alright, next up we have Challenger, moving up from the C tier to the B tier. This is actually a very underrated badge in my opinion. I would say this and Interceptor are probably the 2 most underrated badges amongst the community. And to be fair, it's because I was rating them low as well. So I had this in the C tier, I had Interceptor in the B tier as well. And I think they go unnoticed because generally what the meta of lockdowns and defense has been so far this year is to just spam your X button, simple as that. So like glove, anything that just gets you on ball steals, and obviously I would say Anchor does shine through pretty brightly, and I think a lot of people would agree with that. But long story short, not a lot of love gets shown to, let's say, playing safe defense like how I would like to do in Pro-Am as well. So for instance, not going for a lot of reach-ins, not going for a lot of bump steals, keeping your hand up in front of somebody, or playing in a passing lane and just like playing good sides defense, switching a lot. And I know I'm being biased in a lot of these senses because I'm talking about my own playstyle, but I just want to say I think Challenger is very underrated because a lot of people don't play that safe defense. They don't play 24 seconds of real defense and get a good shot contest at the very end of it, or at least bait them into bad shots and stuff like that too. And that's what I truly do think Challenger can do. I think it's great for hands up D. It's great for, I'm of the belief that it's great for ghost contest as well, but some people would disagree with that. What ghost contests are, for those who aren't aware, it's pretty much when you don't put a hand up yet you run in front of the offensive player while they're shooting, and you're just kind of doing that so you can still move accordingly or don't have to commit fully to the contest. Or let's say I have a guy down and I'm the power forward and my lockdown got killed with the screen, so I have to step to him fully and I just stand right in his face, but I don't contest it so that I'm able to actually get back for the rebound still. I still think Challenger helps with that in my personal opinion. I think it's definitely one of those tier 2 badges where I don't think it's quite as good as the must-haves for me, for instance like glove, anchor, rebound chaser, box out beast, stuff like that, but I do think it's right there in the nice to have badges, so to say. Next up we got Pick Dodger. It's going to be staying in the C tier. This is a decent badge. Again, I'm not going to talk about ones that actually stay. This is our first badge that's actually staying in the tier that it was at previously in the season 2, but Pick Dodger to me is just a decent glue badge for fight through lockdowns. I mean, you're never going to see one who plays like that where you're fighting through screens and you like don't really want to switch on the backside pick and rollers and stuff like that. You're not going to see them not run Pick Dodger. I'll put it like that. So the badge level and just what it does for you, it speaks for itself. All the top lockdowns use it. Like anybody that generally is going to run into pick and roll is going to be using it. Now that is the key. In Pro-Am, it's very pick and roll heavy. Even in Rec Center, I would argue that it's not that pick and roll heavy. It comes and goes every now and then. And for 3s and 2s, you better believe you will not see anybody setting a screen for probably 95% of the games you play. So it all fluctuates based on what court you play, in my opinion. I wouldn't waste badge points on this on 2s or 3s though, for being completely honest, especially considering the Park meta is going to be a lot of like the 6'9" builds and stuff like that. So long story short, you probably don't even have to fight through screens because you're probably gonna be playing with other 6'9s where you can just be very like comfortable playing sides and switching everything. So it doesn't really need all that. All right, next up we have Chase Down, moving up from the C tier to the B tier. This is going to be a pretty solid badge once again, in my opinion. I think I was underrating this because of my previous experience of only having 81 block. I will say, if you're someone that does have around that 75 to 81 block, or let's say anything less than like Silver Anchor and Hall of Fame Chase Down, like if you only have, let's say, Bronze Anchor and Gold Chase Down or anything less than that, I don't think that Chase Down is even worth running at that point. I think it's very hard, and especially paired with your vertical too. Your vertical is very important for this whole debate, because if you're a pure lockdown that has like 99 block or something like that, like you're a 6'9", 99 block going crazy, stuff like that too, and you have like Hall of Fame Anchor, yet at the end of the day you only have like 75 vertical or even 70 vertical, it's probably not going to shine through quite as good. So I may be biased in rating this at a decent level because of my vertical, but at the end of the day, there are other people in this game that have good vertical rating as well. And for my builds that do have now 93 block plus 80 plus vertical, or like 85-ish, stuff like that, this Chase Down Artist stuff goes crazy. I feel so good about it in Park for 1s, 2s, 3s, stuff like that. For Pro-Am, it's a little bit tougher to like shine through because generally it's going to be the bigs going for a lot of dunks, which is off passes and stuff like that too. I would say Chase Down is more the rim runner stopper, so to say, and you can play a lot of defense accordingly based on knowing that you can get a decent Chase Down. Obviously, for countering quick drops, it's not the best, but you can still get a hand in there, maybe make them miss occasionally, and obviously like with Anchor, the intimidator factor, so to say. But long story short, Chase Down, it probably won't stop your quick drops problem, but it can definitely still contribute quite a bit. I'll just put it like that. Next up, we have Post Lockdown, staying in the C tier. This is just an okay badge at doing what it's supposed to do, stopping drop steps, post spins, stuff like that. But the other problem with it too is that you generally don't run into that play style very often, unless you're maybe playing rec or 1s, I would say. For that matter, like 2s, 3s, Pro-Am, I don't think you really see very many drop steps, post spins, anything like that. So it's probably sort of the same situation as like, let's say, Pick Dodger, where you're probably not going to run into that a whole lot when it comes to Park. So if you're playing 2s and 3s, I don't really recommend running Post Lockdown, even if you get the badge at a decent level. But if you play 1s, it's definitely good at doing what it's supposed to, and let's say maybe rec at the 5. But generally you don't really deal with a lot of the drop stepping post spinners. But I will say, if you do and you don't have this badge on, it definitely becomes a little bit of a problem. Like dealing with those 1v1 post scores that have the post spin technician at a super high level, can hit those hooks at a crazy rate, so you have to play them tight and then they kill you with the post spin. It is definitely a tough time guarding them, and Post Lockdown does exactly what it's supposed to do. Not at an unbelievable rate, it doesn't shut them down completely, but it's still pretty good, definitely. So it just depends on court and situation. That's pretty obvious though, and I would say Post Lockdown, just more of a 1s and maybe rec badge. Alright, so next up we have 2 B tier badges going up to the A tier. We have Clamps and Interceptor. I think I've been sleeping on these badges a little bit throughout the course of the year. To be fair, this is more about my repositioning of the value of, like, let's say just the tiers, so to say. What I'm more so getting at here is that I believe Clamps and Interceptor shine through to be much more valuable badges than, let's say, Chase Down and Challenger. But yet Challenger is still, like, and Chase Down are still way better than the C tiers, and so on and so forth. So I just believe Clamps and Interceptor belonged up here in the A rather than down here in the B with these 2 badges, because they're not on the same levels, yet they're all still really good. I just wanted to make that clear. Anyway, Clamps. I mean, it's pretty obvious. It's good for cutoffs. It's good for body up bumps, stuff like that too. You don't really get many forced pickups though. I will say that much. I've probably seen like 2 forced pickups all year. And to be fair, I have been playing on builds that have like silver Clamps. I've still seen it as far as like what the value is of Hall of Fame or gold, or not really bronze. I don't really see too many people run bronze or know that people are running bronze at the very least, but I'll just put it like that. Like silver, gold, and Hall of Fame, I've seen plenty of like experience with it, and I just will say that. I mean, you don't get any forced pickups or anything like that, but it's good for body up bumps. It's good for setting you up for bump steals as well. It's just in general good at stopping people from where they want to go. As far as Interceptor goes, this is once again, I think, one of the most underrated badges on the game as far as defensive ones, and realistically what this is going to be good for, it's pretty obvious. It's going to help you catch more interceptions than tips, but I think it still gets you the animations in general to get the tip passes better, and to be able to catch the interception rather than tipping the pass goes a long way as well, obviously. And depending on your play style, I would say it's actually one of the most important defensive badges you can put on. Like for small guards that are trying to protect themselves in the corner, if you have like super low defense and all you have is maybe, let's say, 78 steal rating in Silver Interceptor, this is the most important badge for your whole play style, 100%, like as far as defense goes, because you are ducking away from the whole offense. You want to just hide in the corner on defense and not really have to do anything, and they're clearly going to be targeting you on backdoor passes or or even just in general, same with on park. I mean, they were either going to throw back doors or just throw the ball right at your face and let that person go to work. You need interceptor. And same goes for like backside defenders and power forwards and stuff like that in Pro-Am, or even off-ball playing in general. Let's say you're playing like 2 through 4 or 2 through 5 in the rec center and stuff like that too. Interceptor definitely goes a long way. It's probably one of the best rec center badges on top of that too. So overall, I just think Interceptor gets really like underappreciated, and there are definitely fans of it that would say, yes, it's definitely A tier Laker. I never disputed that. What are you talking about? But I'm talking about the whole community's kind of feedback and just how they view it, or maybe the people that I play with, they just underrate it a lot is all I'm saying. Next up, we have Brick Wall. This can be staying in the B tier. Just once again, a really good screen setting badge. It's also multi-purposed as well. So let's say, for instance, you are going against one of those post scorers that generally are doing a lot of back downs, drop steps, all types of stuff like that. And what Brick Wall is going to allow you to do, it's two things. It drains their energy faster when they are backing you down, which goes a long way, and it resists the back downs even better. So it's like the anti-back down Punisher, and it fatigues them even faster if they do like hit you with those back downs as well. And then on top of that too, again, it's really more seen as the screen setting badge, which does go a long way as well. I run this on silver. I've seen plenty of people, like Joe included in the Pro-Am wager, running on gold. It definitely sets some pretty good big bodies. And I've seen even Dimes, who has like a 7-foot pure inside build that has 99 interior D to get the Hall of Fame Brick Wall, and that goes crazy too. So I will say I may be underrating the badge a little bit here, putting in the B. The only reason I don't think it's really an A tier is just because I feel like even at silver, it's still plenty fine. I mean, we just played against one of the best lockdowns in the whole game with me running on silver with only 76 strength. And then on top of that too, I was playing without it for the longest. So I don't want to put it in like some God tier, like S tier or A tier or anything like that, but B tier, in my opinion, is right where it belongs. And again, the fact that it's multi-purposed, that definitely goes a long way, and it's pretty cool. But the other reason I wanted to maybe rate this a little bit lower is, once again, let's say you're playing the 2s, the 3s, stuff like that. It's generally be double 6-9s, and just a lot of versatility on defense is how I'll put it. So setting screens and setting big bodies is not exactly as mandatory or important, because a lot of times people just play sides on screens. Simple as that. And then at that point, you need to be slipping. So my whole point of this is that sometimes the defenders pay too much respect, or their style doesn't really require you to have Brick Wall and set big bodies, because you can just slip right down the middle and stay out the way of your point guard and not get him blitzed, because if you do hold that screen and they play sides, you are going to get him blitzed extremely bad. I'll just put it like that. So long story short, Brick Wall, B tier. All right, next up we got Pogo Stick, moving down from the B tier to the C tier. This is just a badge that I probably overvalued a little bit on my 1v1 stints. It's definitely a good 1v1 badge, but I allowed that to kind of seep into my 2v2, 3v3 Pro-Am experience and stuff like that. I've still seen Tonic, who uses Pogo Stick out the corner as the 5 on Pro-Am, where he's dropping down to the paint, and then let's say maybe goes for like a anticipation block where he thinks the center is going to go for a dunk, and then boom, he's able to just like jump back up again. It does help for rebounding as well. I will say, I think the badge is probably the best C tier badge that I have listed right here, like over post lockdown, pick dodger, ankle braces, menace, all that stuff. But I don't think it's on the level of Brick Wall, Chase Down, and Challenger. I'll just put it like that. It's probably like the best C tier, or it'd be the worst B tier. It was definitely between the two categories though, and I just happened to put it in the C. I don't think it's quite on these badges level, but long story short, what it helps you do, you just are able to jump faster in succession. So let's say, for instance, 1v1 where you're jumping down in the paint and someone keeps on like pump fake spamming you. It's going to be the counter to that. It's also pretty good to counter fast twitch as well. And then on top of that too, if you jump to contest them, and then in the contest, I'm sure plenty of you guys have seen this, where you go up to contest them and then the offensive player grabs the offensive rebound because they just jump faster than you. Pogo Stick is going to be very helpful for that, because you're going to be able to jump out of the jump. So like when you jump to contest, then you can jump again to grab the rebound, all in kind of the same little swing. So it is pretty important to have that. But nonetheless, I only have Pogo Stick rated C tier. It's going to be something that's generally around a tier 2, tier 3 for you. So that's kind of the other, I would say, annoyance of it. And it's only worth running if you're really in a lot of situations where, let's say, you are the dropper in the 5s. So like you're coming off the corner and you're going down, or maybe even rec too. I think it would be pretty fire for rec, because a lot of these dudes do be pump faking pretty often if they get down there with the mashing bigs. And it can definitely protect you as an undersized big too if you go against the super tall ones, because you have to jump to contest them. It's as simple as that. You can't really play hands up D to protect yourself against like people that are 4 inches, 5 inches taller than you. But anyway, lastly, we have the 4 best defensive badges in the game, in my opinion. We got Box Out Beast, Rebound Chaser, Anchor, and Glove, 2 of which are rebounding related badges between the Box Out Beast and Rebound Chaser. As you can see, I only moved one up to the S tier, the other stays in the A. I will say we'll start off with Box Out Beast. So this is a very nice multi-purpose badge that, not only to mention too, is cheaper to run than Rebound Chaser, but overall Rebound Chaser just makes sense to be the more valuable badge. It definitely, like, I would say it's the worst S tier that is up here because Anchor and Glove are definitely better than them, but Box Out Beast is not to be slept on either. The fact that you can get worm animations because of this as well, and it secures good box outs, is the fact that it's a multi-purpose badge. That's so cool. Like, it's so good for the fact that it works on offense and defense, like Rebound Chaser would too, obviously. And then on top of that too, like I said, works for worming and boxing out. So if whether you have position or not, Box Out Beast is your way to better rebounding position. Simple as that. And then for Rebound Chaser, it's really as simple as, well, it helps you jump for rebounds better. I mean, it's definitely more of a 4 and a 5 badge though. I will say, I don't think you putting this on as a point guard because it's one of your tier 1s for you is reasonable. It's not going to help you in those situations, in my opinion. Maybe if you, I don't really recommend you ever tapping your Y button to get a rebound if you have 25 rebound, but again, it is a tier 1 for you, so I know it's probably a little bit appealing, but obviously I think Rebound Chaser is just to get better lunges on your jumps. So whether it's to be able to jump higher, to have the ball come to you more reliably, or just in general to, like I said, have better lunges. That's all Rebound Chaser really is, and it goes a long way. I mean, I think in general, a lot of people underrate what rebounding can do in a game because Park has been kind of dumbed down to rim run, shoot 3, and get long rebound off 3. But realistically, in a more condensed play style, or if you do have a tall big on the court, they can dog that little 6'9", triple 6'9" stuff, even on the threes, and especially in Rec Center too. I'm sure you guys see that shine through even more. But again, I think Rebound Chaser deserves respect and deserves to be in the S tier as well. You could definitely make a case for it to be in the A tier instead of S. I'm just deciding to put it in the S. But nonetheless, we have Anchor and Glove also listed. The ones that are staying in the S tier that were in it from Season 2 as well. I honestly think I've had Glove in S tier from Season 1, 2, and 3. Anchor may have been more of an A tier or something like that at the beginning, like in Season 1, but Season 2, I put this in S tier, same with Glove, and they're here to stay for Season 3. So, Anchor, really just, I mean, they're both amazing at what they do. It's pretty self-explanatory. Like, Anchor is going to give you better contest on interior defense, and then Glove is going to get on-ball plucks. Simple as that. But we can make it a little bit more complicated than that. Anchor is going to help you get contest and blocks down low. So whether you play hands up D, or you go for blocks, or you go for blocks on driving dunks, driving lays, standing dunks, standing lays, Anchor is your key to paint defense. Simple as that. It's better for the intimidator factor. People even miss like wide open dunks sometimes just because you're around. Very rare that happens, but it definitely happens. Let me tell you guys a good story about this, and it'll kind of explain my whole reasoning behind the intimidator factor of Anchor. So I played a team, and this is one of the few teams we've lost to over the last couple of days or weeks, and like maybe the last month, I would say, of Pro-Am. And what really shined through this team is they ran 3 6'1s, or like 3 really small guards, whether it was 6'1", 6'2", 6'3", or I don't remember exactly what height they were, but they ran a habitual 3-2. They had 3 guys play wing, gave up free slips down to the paint, and what they would do is they would rotate 2 guys that had Hall of Fame Anchor, 99 block, with like Hall of Fame Rebound Chaser, 99 rebound as well. And let me tell you, that was the most annoying team I have ever played. Another one actually had 3 anchors on Hall of Fame, so they had their power forward on the backside with 2 bigs in the corner, and they played like a 3-2 as well. I've played multiple teams between those two, and it's ridiculous what Anchor does. Like, whether you have, it even stacks in my opinion, where if you have 2 guys kind of in corner area and they aren't even really dropping down to you fully, it still has the intimidator factor, and the intimidator factor stacks is what I'm saying. It's ridiculous. I missed the most open dunks I have ever seen against those 2 teams, and it was on free slips that I looked like super wide open for that matter. But again, Anchor is that badge. It really is when it comes to interior defense. And I now have it on gold. I've seen a tremendous upgrade in my interior defensive and blocking ability, or just paint mashing defense as well. Going from 81 block and like bronze Anchor to gold Anchor with 93 block as well. So moving along, we have Glove. This is, I mean, again, pretty self-explanatory. I will say, let me say this much. If you have silver Glove or lower, it doesn't really feel as amazing. I'll put it like that. Now, I will say this much. Me and IQ, both in that Joe wager, had silver glove, 90 steal rating. Simple as that. Now, the point guard had 94 ball handle, so he couldn't get Hall of Fame unpluckable. And it definitely stood out, the fact that silver still works against gold, but silver does not work against Hall of Fame. I will tell you that much. Gold is obviously better, but still barely works against Hall of Fame. And Hall of Fame glove versus Hall of Fame unpluckable is probably your only reasonable source of actually like getting through that unpluckable, so to say. I mean, Hall of Fame unpluckable just goes so hard. We'll definitely talk about that when we get to the playmaking badge tier list as well. But it's just crazy. And I think glove is a little bit overrated anymore. It's still the best defensive badge in the game. I would say that, but anchor's getting closer is what I'll say. But yeah, I do think that the complaining on the whole glove situation has gone down a little bit, but in the Pro-Am, you do still see a lot of 6'6" and 6'7" pure locks that have it strictly for the fact that they can get 99 steal rating. And then even shooting guards in Pro-Am, the meta build is still to run 99 steal as well. So don't get me wrong. I still think 99 steal builds are still that guy, so to say, but it's definitely a little bit overblown if you ask me. I know I'm like talking it down even though it's an S tier badge and you know, I'm a little bit trolling right now, but my whole point is that it's not quite as amazing as people give it credit for because they think it's like some game breaking, game ruining situation. But if you have unpluckable, you can still avoid the people that have super crazy glove. Just watch out for back plucks is where I would get at. And since we're speaking on the power of glove and not talking about unpluckable and helping the point guards or anything like that, we're here to help the lockdowns. Let's just talk about what glove can do for you. Again, I think the back plucks are where you want to go for. If the offensive player is in front of you and can't even see you for that matter too, I can't believe people complain about that stuff like as if it's something that shouldn't even happen in the freaking game. You can't even see the player behind you. Yes, I understand because we're playing a third person simulation of basketball. Yes, you can see behind you, but your player can't. And I think that's where you're most prone to the actual steals, like by this game's logic. I mean, when you go for those back plucks on defense where you are behind them and they have the ball not protected at all, they are not really switching the ball hand or anything like that either. You can play to the side of the ball hand and just tap your X button. Boom, you can just jar that thing free from behind. And on some like peanut punch stuff in football, like you can literally just get it like that. So that's where I think the pluck steals are the most reliable. Besides that, maybe if you can time out one of their size ups, or for instance, like if they're just dribbling right in front of you and you're square in front of him. And again, pair this with menace. Probably, very likely too, because it definitely can double down on it. And even perimeter badge drop for the lockdown takeovers. That also goes hard, because then their unpluckable gets dropped even more. But again, we're just here to talk about the badge, and I know we've spent a lot of time talking about glove, but I just wanted to clarify everything. But anyway, that's all video. Hope you all enjoyed. If you did, for drop a like, so if you're new, turn on noties, all that good stuff. And like always, try to 2,000 likes. If it's the end of the video, put D or put defense in the comments so it's made all the way through. But anyway, if you want to check out the finishing one, we uploaded that yesterday. I'll probably upload the playmaking and shooting right after this as well. And then we'll get back into the regular content. So I hope y'all enjoy. And on that, take it easy, man. Peace.